So how did Lightning McQueen get his start in the racing world? I mean, when we first met Lightning McQueen, he was already the fastest race car alive. He had the speed, the fans, and the chance to become the first rookie to win a Piston Cup. His journey to become the greatest race car of all time seemed to be laid ahead of him. I mean, he even had a catchphrase. But I want to understand what led up to that big race. How did he become a hotshot rookie? Who helped him get his big break with Rusties? And is Lightning even his real name? This is everything we know about the backstory of Lightning McQueen. Oh, and by the way, if you've been looking for a way to rep the GOAT Lightning McQueen, might I suggest checking out today's sponsor, Pair Eyewear. You see, Pair Eyewear creates affordable glasses frames that are fun, personalized, and simple to order. And recently, they've even began collaborating with Disney and Pixar. What's particularly unique about them is that the themed sections of their frames, which they call top frames, are actually interchangeable. The way it works is that first you choose a base frame. For me, I selected the Soto frames. These actually have my prescription lenses in them, but you can get glasses without any prescription if you don't need them. Then you choose your top frames, and for me, of course, that meant I chose ones that featured Lightning McQueen, but I also got some that were themed around The Incredibles and Buzz Lightyear, as well as a top frame that turns my frames into sunglasses. And if you want to have the customization and versatility of Pair Eyewear, they are here to help. Right now, there's a whole holiday sale going on, and if you use my code IsaacCarlsonGift15 at checkout, they'll even throw in a free gift with your purchase. Again, consider clicking my link below or scanning the QR code to get your own pair of Disney and Pixar glasses today. Now, in many ways, Lightning McQueen was destined to be a Piston Cup champion because unlike every race car that came before him, he was a custom-built Piston Cup racer. He was designed and constructed from the ground up to be the greatest race car the world had ever seen. Each aspect of Lightning was optimized and handmade to make him faster, more agile, and more efficient than any racer that had ever come before him. And all of this together seems to be why he didn't have headlights. The track was always lit, and headlights would have just added more weight for him to carry. And this led to some impressive real-world results. According to the Essential Guide for Cars 2, at his peak, Lightning could accelerate from 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds and reach speeds up to 220 miles per hour. In fact, as soon as he was manufactured, he became the fastest race car alive. Now, we don't know who manufactured him or any vehicle in the world of cars, and there's no signs of Lightning McQueen having any family or friends early on in his life. All we know for sure is that as soon as he entered the world, he longed to make history as a race car. Specifically, he dreamed of being sponsored by Dinoco, becoming the first rookie in history to win a Piston Cup, and taking over the racing world in a way that no legend of the past had ever been able to accomplish. All he had on his mind was winning and the perks that would come with it, and he never questioned whether he could do it, even with his real name being Montgomery McQueen. You see, while the world may know Monty McQueen as Lightning, that's actually his professional racing name that he took on throughout the course of his career. But it's unclear when he did this or who came up with it. At times it seemed that Lightning gave himself that name as he transitioned into the racing world. But in the comic book The Rookie, we're told that it was the King who gave him the nickname Lightning when he became a professional race car, as he noticed that McQueen was extremely fast and was able to zigzag through the field. Either way, Monty became known as Lightning McQueen, and it eventually stuck, even though he supposedly had another nickname early in his career. You see, before Lightning McQueen was able to enter the Piston Cup Racing Series, he first needed to prove himself as a race car so that he could earn a sponsor. And the only way to do that was by competing in regional races. You see, at the time, McQueen was gaining some early wins using his speed and power to plow his way into the lead, earning him the title Bulldozer McQueen. While a lack of strategy and tactics was not going to allow McQueen to win forever, it made him an extremely entertaining race car, and it just so happened that he captured the attention of Mack. Now, it's important to note that in Lightning's journey, there are some conflicting narratives around Lightning McQueen's early career. Whether you're looking at the storybook The World of Cars or the comic book The Rookie, you can find different information, but either way, there are some consistencies across everything we know. And one of those facts is that Mack was actually the vehicle that discovered Lightning McQueen. You see, as a transportation truck focused on the eastern seaboard, Mack was able to see Lightning race many times on his travels. He was paying attention to Lightning's early career as he gained traction in the regional racing scene and secured his first sponsorship with Smellwell Deodorizer. Lightning even became his favorite race car. So when Lightning suddenly was in need of a new opportunity at the same time that Rust-eze needed a new spokes car, Mack was able to bring them both together. You see, Lightning unfortunately got himself into a difficult situation. First, he was dropped by Smellwell for a new promising hotshot, and to make matters worse, he also lost the local championship because his fellow racers turned against him. They had enough of McQueen's brutal and aggressive approach, so they used those same tactics against him. If he could have won the title, that would have paved the way for him to secure a new sponsorship, but now he was left with no prospects. Until Mack came to his rescue. Since Rusty's spokes car had retired, the medicated bumper ointment team was struggling to find a replacement, so they put out the word that they were on the search, and Mack took it upon himself to bring the opportunity to Lightning, especially when he found out he needed a new sponsor. Mack even offered to drive Lightning up to Boston himself to meet the founders of Rust-eze, Rusty and Dusty. Lightning took the trip up, met the brothers, and they signed him immediately. They were excited by the idea of taking a big bet on an unproven race car in the hopes that Lightning McQueen would someday become the next big champion. So they went all in on him, offering everything he would need to start competing for the Piston Cup. Unfortunately, what they didn't know though was that Lightning wasn't completely sold on Rust-eze. You see, Lightning had actually tried many times before to secure sponsors on his own. Supposedly the King even had a story of Lightning driving up to him and the Dynaco team to see if he could join them, but that never worked and probably never would. Lightning was proving to the racing world that he was quick, but he was young, aggressive, and unpredictable. He was a complete unknown. Lightning just lacked a level of consistency and stability that would allow him to get other sponsors. So even though Lightning wasn't impressed by the owner's medicated bumper ointment or the Rusty cars they helped, partnering with Rust-eze seemed to be his best bet. So Lightning McQueen took the opportunity to race for Rust-eze and only asked for one request: that Mack would become his driver. Now, going into the season, Lightning was able to prove to Rusty and Dusty that they had made a good bet. You see, while Lightning was a highly efficient instrument of speed and aerodynamics, he was entering a racing landscape filled with outdated angular racers. So immediately, on his first track during his first time trial, Lightning McQueen broke the track record. And that was just the beginning of his unprecedented rookie season. According to the rookie, in Lightning's first race, he placed in the top 3 behind Strip the King Weathers and Chick Hicks. And by his 5th race, he had his first win. Following that victory, he quickly became a serious contender for the Piston Cup. The King was even quoted saying that McQueen was one of the best he had seen in a long time. And the racing world took notice. A fan base started to form around the rookie, and here's a few of his most notable fans. Of course, there was Mia and Tia, who never missed a race throughout Lightning's rookie season and were completely obsessed with him. They would eventually even get in trouble attempting to get his attention. Then there was Timothy Two-Stroke, who would inevitably drive cross-country from New Jersey to California to see McQueen in his tiebreaker race. And there's Albert Hinkey, who's literally one of Lightning's biggest fans, who inevitably sticks with Lightning throughout his entire career. At some point, Lightning also came up with his catchphrase, "Ka-chow," and with all of this excitement, vehicles were ready to capitalize on his new fame and glory. At some point during the season, Rust-eze was able to start pivoting Lightning's advertisements to be filled with more bold and exciting graphics that were in line with Lightning's growing brand, and Harv, Lightning's new Hollywood agent, kept that going through memorabilia and merchandise. But everything wasn't going perfectly for Lightning McQueen. He was struggling to keep a crew chief in his corner, as he would often disregard their advice and would get into fights with them. I mean, across his time as a rookie, he ended up firing 3 crew chiefs, and he even entered what was supposed to be the final race of the season without one. To the media, he'd spoken frankly about how he preferred to work alone, which created a negative sentiment amongst the Rust-eze racing team. And to add to the ill will, Lightning never even learned the names of everyone in his pit crew. At the time though, Lightning didn't care about his team. To him, all of his dreams were about to come true. As Lightning positioned himself to win the Piston Cup as a rookie, the King was about to retire. Lightning was done with Rust-eze at the same time that Dinoco was going to need a new race car. To Lightning, it seemed like this was perfect timing. In 1 year, he went from being completely unknown to one of the biggest athletes on the planet. And all he had to do was win one more race, and he would cement his name into racing history forever. He didn't have time to think about a crew chief, meaningful friendships, or long-lasting love. At the time, all Lightning McQueen wanted was to hear a stadium full of fans scream his name when he won. But of course, those plans were not going to work out for him. He may have been talented, but he lacked wisdom. He was fast, but he didn't have the skills and tactics that came from experience. Of course, he was already a force to be reckoned with, but soon Doc, Sally, Mater, and the kind folks in Radiator Springs were going to transform him forever into a champion. Consider following for more cars videos like this one. And finally, I'm Isaac Carlson. Thanks for watching and have a magical day.